We are here speaking with Al Stewart. He is going to be with his band, The Empty Pockets, along with Colin Blunstone of the Zombies, Saturday, February 22nd, here in Tucson at the Rialto Theatre. Al, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to hang out with us for a little bit.
Well, thank you for asking.
So, I've been reading about The Empty Pockets. Can you tell me a little bit about your history with them? They seem like they were a separate band, and then you got together with them.
Yes, it was. I met them through Gary Wright, the Dreamweaver, and Gary and I were doing like a double-header tour, and he always plays with the band. I mean, he needs a band, and he'd hired the Empty Pockets to be his backing band. And I said, well, like if there's a band there, maybe they could learn one of my songs and I could play with them too. And I did, and we just got along really, really well. And I said, well, learn a few more of my songs. Maybe we can do more gigs. And I think we're up to 9 years now of touring together.
And you've actually recorded some music with them as well.
Yes, I have. Yeah, we did a live album together. Yeah.
Now, before they got together with you and with Gary, they actually had their own touring thing they did. I believe they're out of Chicago.
Yeah, they're from Chicago. I think they've made 8 albums so far, and they're wildly enthusiastic, and They're wonderful. They're a wonderful band, in their own right. And it's just something happens when we play together. We kind of click. I can't tell you exactly why, but it just works. So I've been doing it for, like I said, 9 years, I think now.
Now, how did you get together with Colin on this? Is this just a one-off? Or are you doing an actual tour with him?
No, we're doing. I don't know how many dates. 8 or 9, I think. I'm not really sure. I mean, I've known Colin all my life, virtually. I mean, I've known him since the '60s, I think. But it's never been mooted before for us to do a tour together. And well, look, it's Colin. You know what I mean? That I thought, well, that'll be fun. Well, let's give it a go.
So, what can people expect on the 22nd here in Tucson when they see you?
Oh, I mean, personally, and I think it'd be fun. I like improvisation. I like making things up. Like personally, it left to my own discretion, I would sing all his songs and I'd make him sing all of mine. But I don't think that's going to happen. So probably, we'll do our normal sets.
Do you guys ever thought about maybe getting on there and doing a duet or doing just a little jam at the end of the concert? Has that ever happened or popping in
Uh,
on each other's sets?
we've never done it. I mean, he sings so much better than I do. I
Oh,
don't
you have
think
a wonderful voice. Come on.
I couldn't compete. I mean, Colin sings like an angel. I mean, he's absolutely par excellence.
So, if people want to follow you, where can they go? Do you have a website? Are you on social media? Because I know, a lot of musicians, they're on social media, but then there's a bunch of other people pretending to be them on social media as well.
Oh, is that right? I don't do any social media. I never watch it. I don't pay any attention to it. So I don't even know what it is, frankly. It has something to do with computers. I know that. And in my world, anything that has to do with computers is the enemy. So
Well, thank you for getting on a computer today and hanging out with me for a little bit. I really appreciate
I
it.
know it's painful, but I mean, I'm trying to promote the show, but I personally don't like anything I can't even work a cell phone. I mean, if you ask me right now how to make a call on a cell phone, I wouldn't know.
Oh wow. Well, my father-in-law is like that as well.
Yeah.
So, and my stepfather. In fact, when he finally got one, he got one of those old Star Trek flip phones. So,
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I write historical songs. Everybody knows that. You can't do that using electricity. It's like, I mean, I write songs on parchment with a quill pen and candlelight. I mean, it's like if I'm writing about the 14th century, I mean, I don't want to be in what are we, 2025 or something? I don't want to be there. If I'm writing about the Battle of Agincourt or something like that, I have to be there in that moment. You can't do that with computers and electronic equipment. So I don't live in the present. I never have, and I never will. I have no taste for it.
do you feel like you were born in the wrong era?
No, 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 I'm born in the right era. I just want to live in every era.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to be hemmed into, the 21st century, whatever it is. I don't identify with that. I mean, I wake up in 1268 and I go to bed in 1355 or whatever, and then the next day I wake up and I'm in 25 BC. I mean, it's like that's how my life is, and I can spend days and days and days at a time in some completely different time zone. Sometimes I'm right there in the Wars of the Roses, and sometimes I'm. It does it. I just because I read history constantly, and I live in different time zones. I can't imagine for the life of me living in one time zone. It would be incredibly dull. I, yeah.
So I take it you're a voracious reader.
Oh, absolutely. I'm always reading something. Yeah.
And when you're reading, is that where sometimes, obviously, you've come up with a lot of your songs there, but is it sometimes you're reading something and you come up with a song and you go, well, I got to wait on that one a little bit. I got to finish the book. Or
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, normally it takes a gestation period of probably about 10 or 20 or even 30 or 40 years for a book to translate itself into a song. Um, for example, well, Roads to Moscow, which is probably my most requested song, I read between 40 and 50 books to write that song to over a 4-year period. And the research was insane. I mean, it's like I've never done that much research for one song before. But when it came out, it was like, okay, yeah, I think I got that. I mispronounced Guderian's name, for which I apologize, but I don't speak German. But the rest of it, I think, is pretty accurate.
so when you first started out, was that a intention to when you got into music that you wanted to make your songs historical?
No, 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 no. I started the same way everybody does, which is writing soppy love songs. I wrote, well, the first song that kind of put me on the map on the English folk scene was an 18-minute love song in 5 different movements. I mean, nothing if not ambitious, stupidly so, I think. But it worked. It became the Melody Maker Folk Album of the Year, and but I think that was the reason I got into writing historical songs, was that I felt, okay, well, I did that. What else is there in life? I mean, I know you can keep writing the same song over and over again, and if it's popular, I mean, I could name you one artist right now who's had 3 number 1 singles with basically the same song. It is the same song. And
I can name quite a few.
I know you can keep repeating this, but it's incredibly dull. It's like, who wants to do that? And so from Love Chronicles to Roads to Moscow, I mean, that's quite a jump. But it was, it was intellectually satisfying, put it that way.
How do you come up with the idea and then come up with the music behind it? Because the research obviously is one thing,
Yeah.
lyrical content's another, but then coming up with the musicality behind it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we all listen to music. We all have our favorites. I mean, I've got tons of favorite artists, and everybody influences everybody. I mean, there are people who are just fantastic. I mean, like they don't sound like anyone else, or they don't write like anyone else. Leonard Cohen is a perfect example. I mean, Leonard Cohen is himself, and there's no one who sounds like Leonard Cohen. There's no one who ever will, and there's certainly no one who could write like Leonard Cohen. And Tom Waits is another one, and so is Richard Thompson, and there's just a whole laundry list. But early Bob Dylan, these are people who come out of nowhere, completely formed as an original. That they don't sound, look, or feel like anything else the planet has ever seen before. These are the people I admire. I mean, Casey and the Sunshine Band. I mean, forget it. It's pop music and it's great and it works on that level. But I mean, I'll take Leonard Cohen over that every day.
So, what is next for you besides this tour? I read somewhere that you had announced that this was going to be like a farewell tour for you. Is
No,
that true?
no, I didn't say that. I'm doing a farewell tour of the UK
Oh,
in,
okay.
in October, just because it's a long way to go. And there's a lot of traveling involved in it, and I'm getting old, and I don't like the traveling. But I never said anything about a farewell tour of the US.
So it's just to the UK. So you're still going to be playing and any new music on the horizon?
I don't know. You never say never.
You got to feel the inspiration.
Oh, I write songs all the time. I just haven't been recording them because recording is a pain in the butt. I mean, it's a necessary thing that you have to go through if you want to put your songs out in front of the public. But I've never liked it. I mean, I hate being in a recording studio, frankly, and I'm not good at it. I mean, working with Alan Parsons, who is a perfectionist. He wants you to do like 28 takes on a vocal. God, I've sung this 27 times already. I've got absolutely nothing else to bring to it. Why am I having to do this? I mean, in my world, if I sing something once, that's it. I'm done. Like, okay, I'm off now. and recording studios just don't work that way. You have to do it over and over and over and over. And I don't want to do that. I mean, life is too short.
So it sounds to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you enjoy the actual live experience much
Yeah.
better than the recording.
Yeah, because you can improv. I mean, I spend probably a third. I mean, anyone who's ever seen me knows that I spend maybe a third of my time on stage just talking, and I have to explain the songs and tell them what it's all about. Perfect example. I was in St. Petersburg in Florida, playing. This is probably about 30, 40 years ago to an audience full of surfers, essentially. Like young, blonde, tan surfers, and I started talking about the Trojan War. And I was kind of a little obsessed with it at the time. And I'd written a song which was a comparison of the of the identities of Helen and Cassandra, who are absolute opposites in every single way imaginable. And I wrote this song called Helen and Cassandra, and then I started talking about the Trojan War, the origins of it, and the Golden Apple, and Paris. this mad, this mad prince, and I didn't realize because I got totally lost in the moment. I talked for I think about 15 minutes about the Trojan War, and I looked up and I saw this room and there's all these surfer kids with their mouths open going, but they listened. You could have heard a pin drop. They listened to every single thing I said about it. And I just thought that was glorious. It's actually one of my favorite moments I've ever had on a stage. It's like if you are totally into a historical subject and you can talk articulately about it, and you can just capture an audience and you can take them into that moment with you. And to me, that was much more important than actually it was an anticlimax singing the song after that because I'd already told them the whole story.
Well, I would think also too that it would introduce people to history.
Yeah. Oh, it does. I get that all the time. I actually get history professors coming to my gigs. One of them told me that he was actually teaching my songs in his class, which is, I think that's a compliment.
Have any asked you? I was just thinking this before you said that. I go, have any of them asked you to come and maybe speak to a class?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I get that all the time. I was actually invited to go and speak at Oxford University in England, do a lecture on history, and yeah, like I don't really want to do that. That's your job. That's not my job. You're supposed to be teaching them.
Well, you're kind of teaching in a different way through entertainment.
Yes, I'm a songwriter. I'm not a historian. But I'm just I just happen to be fascinated by history, and no one else wants this job. I'm shocked. I've got to tell you, I'm absolutely shocked. When I started doing it, and it was obvious that it worked. All of a sudden we were playing to 1,000 people, and they're all listening to every word, and it was like, whoa, this works. How come no one else in the world is doing this? And either you take a history professor and teach him three chords on a guitar, which is not difficult, or you take a guitar player and you make him read some history books. But no one, I don't know why. I mean, I've got a lot of people coming to my shows, and anybody can do this. It's not rocket science, but nobody does, and I
Well,
still don't understand it.
you were talking about the surfers a minute ago. Have you noticed a lot of your shows a wider variety of like your music is timeless. So I would imagine that there's a lot of kids there, younger people, How does that make you feel when you look out and you see those faces that, weren't born when some of these songs came out?
Oh, well, I had to get that. The last show I did, there was a kid who was looked about 14 or 15 years old, came up to me and said, "You're my favorite singer." I mean, how's that possible? You should be listening to Eminem. Why? But I think if you do something, well, like as I said, I was talking about Richard and Leonard and like all these people. If you do something unique, you're never going to get a majority audience. I mean, you're never going to get that. You're never going to be a pop star, really. But people who latch onto you forever. I
Hmm.
mean, I've got people coming to see me who've been seeing me for 60 years. It's like, it's because if you live by the sword of fashion, you die by the sword of fashion. And if you do something totally unfashionable, there's nothing less fashionable than historical folk rock. It never goes away. If people like it, they're always going to like it.
When you look out, I mean, I know sometimes it's hard when you're on stage to look out and see other past than the first couple rows, but you look out over time and you go, I recognize that person.
Oh yeah.
You may not know their name, but you've seen them before.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it happens all the time.
Is it a cool feeling?
It's like family. It's like you become very familiar. I talk to everybody. They'll come backstage and I'll chat with pretty much anybody. I mean, I like to, it's just who I am. And so you see them again. Oh, I know you. That's great.
So what happened? You're going to obviously be here on the 22nd down here in Tucson at the Rialto Theatre. You hitting the road after that? Are you hitting the
Oh
West
yeah,
Coast or?
good Lord, we got 50 shows on the books at the moment. I mean, far more than I want. I mean, this is a byproduct of British historical folk rock. Is that I got 50 shows booked. I mean, I could book another 50 tomorrow if I wanted. I just can't work that hard. I'm getting old. I don't want to. But it's a remarkable thing. I mean, if I was in a disco band in the 1970s, I'd be out of work now. You know what I mean? But this thing goes on forever. It's like a train.
Well, because people are going to see you. They're not going to see a style that was popular in blankety blank, like you said, fashion, that you were never, quote, fashionable. You have your audience.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I want. That's what Leonard did. That's what I'm doing.
Well, I look forward to the show. It's going to be here in Tucson at the Rialto Theater on Saturday night, February 22nd. You're playing with Colin Blunstone of the Zombies. And it sounds like it's going to be, you both are playing full sets as well, right?
I think so. I mean, no one's given me the details yet, but I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, from what I was told, it was a co-headlining show. So,
I think it is. Yeah.
so
I think for my money, it's sometimes I make up my own like top 50, records ever made by anybody in the entire history of the recording business. And I think She's Not There would be in my top 50.
I agree with you. Absolutely. I agree with you. And well, I'm looking forward to seeing you in concert again. I saw you, we mentioned Anderson's Fifth Estate when you played up in Scottsdale back when that place was open. And I saw you back then, saw you back when I was over at the Storm in Phoenix and stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again down here in Tucson.
Okay, well, we'll see you there.
All right. Once again, we've been speaking with Al Stewart. He's going to be with his band, The Empty Pockets, along with Colin Blunstone of the Zombies, Saturday, February 22nd at the Rialto Theater. You can get your tickets at the Rialto Theater's box office or right here at klpx.com.